So today I wanted to do the first video of the day, trying out the Mitsubishi F-2 against some other jets in a dogfight to see how it would actually perform, especially against the other F-16s. Some rules of engagement over here is that we cannot do head-on passes just because it's more of a RNG even. I mean, it's skill-based, but you know, we needed a checkmate basically, right? So we try to not do, you know, head-on passes. Missile usage, basically just 2 missiles and minimal fuel. Okay, that's the idea. Of course, a disclaimer, remember, we are just 2 friends having fun. We didn't actually take it too seriously, right? So yeah, it was made very late at night, so we were doing some mistakes, me and him. So just mind that. And before we get into it, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and of course, guys, I mean, if you wanna, we are having a goal of trying to help the quality of the channel. If you want to help it, of course, you can leave a donation with PayPal with the description, with a link in the description. Okay, so let's get to it. So we started off against the F-16s, of course, to have a feeling on how the F-16s, the normal F-16s, would deal with the F-2, right? One thing for sure we noticed, something that you will see a lot. This aircraft indeed is slower than the other F-16s, but it's not by much, and to be honest, I was kind of wrong. Yes, I was kind of wrong. I thought this aircraft would not be the greatest thing ever, but it is one of the best aircraft in the game in a dogfight. Yes, it will lose to the Rafales and Eurofighters, but against American aircraft, apart from the F-18, it easily can destroy them depending on the pilot, right? So against the F-16C, it was, I'm not gonna say easy, because this was one of the first dogfights that we did. We were still warming up a little bit, but you will have a feeling that the F-2, although it is always with less energy, if you are careful enough, you can always win the dogfight. And why is that? The extra wing that this aircraft has basically creates one thing. It brings you a lot of lift in the lower airspeed, something that some of these aircraft will not have, like the F-16C. So of course he will have, but not as much as the F-2, right? So this is where really these wings help a lot. Of course, this flight model is still subject to change. You can see that even the animations of the ailerons are not working properly yet. They are basically inverted, so it's kind of weird. But yeah, you gotta be careful with your energy, but if you bring the target to a lower airspeed, you basically can win against anybody. That's kind of how it is, you know. So you gotta be careful to not do a mistake. Like I said, it is dangerous, but at the end of the day, you have a little bit more a nose authority because of the extra lift that you produce in the wings, to actually make sure you have enough to, if you bring the target to a lower airspeed, you win. That's kind of the idea here. So remember, this aircraft uses the same engine as the F-16C. It is just heavier and it has more wing, right? Another thing is that I don't think the F-16, you know, in general, uses its flaps automatically like the F-2 is using here. So I'm not using flaps, and you can see that the flaps are being deployed, right? So there is that as well. You create a little bit more lift, of course, more drag as well. So again, it is going to be kind of a trend over here going on in these dogfights. You gotta bring people to a lower airspeed. This is where, for example, something like the F-18 would beat the F-2, right? Just because it has so much, you know, low speed performance, right? But you can see that even I'm having a lot less energy than him. I'm not passing even 500 kilometers per hour. He's passing over 600 in the dives, and I'm still being able to beat him even in a vertical kind of situation, right? Where technically the F-16C is better. So this is how good this thing is. So we tried it out a little bit with the F-16 AM, right? Which is pretty much just an F-16 Block 15 kind of. Maybe a little bit heavier, I don't know, but I have to check the files. But in a general sense, it is very similar to the Block 15. And the general idea here is the same, right? Of course, he was still trying to use the same tactic that he was using before. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like I said, in the lower speeds, if I try to bring him in in the lower airspeeds and lower airspeeds, I will make sure that I eventually kill him. I missed so many shots there, but eventually I killed him. And even against the Block 10, right? These are basically a compilation of dogfights that we did. We did many ones. Some mistakes here, some mistakes there. These were the ones that I think are the coolest ones that we did. And I mean, look at this. Block 10, man. This is the best turning F-16 in the game. This is the F-16 that everybody's scared about, right? It's the F-16 that nobody messes with in a dogfight. It is the aircraft that basically can beat, even if the pilot knows what he's doing, right? Even a Rafale or something like that, right? So it is an aircraft that is pretty scary in a dogfight. It's the lightest F-16 of them all, right? And as you can see, at the initial stages, he was being able to pull a little bit more than me normally. Sometimes I was able to actually pull a little bit more, but in a general sense, he was being able to have a little bit more nose authority. But eventually, we went to the deck. I brought him to a lower airspeed. And then what happens? A bigger wing works better, right? You have more power as well with this engine at these particular speeds, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So at the end of the day, I start to win kind of the, you know, turn rate fight over here, the rate fight, right? So it's kind of funny that even the Block 10 can't be beaten by this aircraft. Of course, remember, I think still it just comes down to the pilot most of the time, especially against something like an F-16, you know, Block 10. But, you know, it would be like very close to each other. On the terms of performance, they're very close. But, so you will ended up being, you know, the pilot that decides the fight. But eventually, if you do it correctly, you can make this aircraft beat the F-16 Block 10 in the rate fight. So you get these aircraft in a lower airspeed, you will be able to win. And this is for the majority of the aircraft, apart from some of the others that we're gonna talk about at the end of the video. Okay, so it's kind of funny how it works, because like I said, I was kind of expecting an aircraft that was going to be kind of sluggish, although an F-16, but because of the extra weight, because of the extra drag, I was hoping, not hoping, right? I mean, I was expecting it to be a lot more sluggish than it is. And it is not. It is very nimble, very agile, and I gotta say, it is probably the best F-16 you can have. Of course, I have a feeling that if you don't buff the AM4, it would still lose out to the F-16C just because of the BVR. Because BVR plays a part in the game right now, and although you have a way better radar than F-16C, for example, the AM4 is inferior to the AM-20s, right? So they might buff it, hopefully they do, right? And the AM4, AM3 is an amazing missile as well. You can carry 4 of them. You don't have a helmet for now, which is a problematic thing. So there are little things here and there that make these aircraft maybe not be the best, right? But to be honest, in the pure performance, and if he had a little bit of a help, like I said, the helmet mounted display, isn't it like, I don't know, don't they add, like, have something like this, the Japanese? So it's kind of funny, right? But yeah, basically because of these, maybe it's not the best, but in my opinion, in terms of performance and everything, if you get a little bit more out of the missiles, maybe a helmet-mounted display for sure will be the best quote-unquote F-16 in the game, right? So I was kind of wrong. I thought it was going to be worse than it is. I mean, it is still just kind of an F-16. It feels like an F-16. So it's not gonna be too much of the 4.5 generations, right? But at the end of the day, it is there. It is there. It can do well, and it will be able to win a lot of the dogfights if you know what you're doing. You will win a lot of the stuff if you know what you're doing, right? So it's interesting because it is an aircraft that you think that it's gonna be the same, but it's not. And at the same time, because of that, it is way better than what you expected, right? So it's very cool. As you see, the Su-27, I mean, he was overdoing the Cobra buttons there, but still. And then we went for the Rafales and 4.5 generations, you know. Then it's really a problem. I mean, the Rafale, I mean, it's the best jet in the game, you know. The Eurofighter, probably would win as well. He didn't have the Eurofighter fully spaded, so that's why we didn't include it in the video. But yeah, the Rafale is just... Look at that. I mean, I'm trying to do the same static that I used before. I probably should have done a little bit of a different one. And you can win. See this? Like, you can win. But you can see that the Rafale is just turning a little bit more than the other ones, right? So, neither of these aircraft are perfect. Each of these can win against each other. All comes down to the pilot, like Mavericks already said, right? But at the end of the day, you know, the F-2 is probably the most fun I had in an F-16-like aircraft in a very long time. Very long time, right? So, yeah, last one of the day. We tested some other aircraft, the F-18. This thing got stomped against the F-18, but I don't want the video to be too long, okay? So, yeah, we are gonna wrap it up with the Gripen that I basically lost as well. So, can win against some, lose against some. Perfect aircraft for you to grind the Japanese tech tree, I think. So I see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. If you want to donate, you can to help the channel. And I see you guys on the next one. Bye. See you.